Welcome to Veterans Church on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I hope you're all getting ready for that Super Bowl tonight. Go Chiefs. I have to. The Bills are out, so I've got to do that. Anyway, we have an exciting service for us today. We have Don Newland and Tim Albright from Trinity Circle, Horses Healing Hearts. It's a emotional trauma therapy and therapy for PTSD for veterans. It's a great organization, and you're going to get to hear more about it here in a few minutes. Don and Tim are going to tell us all about it and how you could possibly get involved or how you could support them if that's what you feel led to do. We're going to start with a little prayer and then we'll get going. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you for this day. As beautiful it is, it's nice to finally get out of the snowy weather. We're so grateful that you've given us this day. Lord, I just ask you to bless Tim and Dawn and their activities down at the Trinity Circle. Let them continue to help our veterans and get over their traumas. It's such an important way to get them taken care of. We just ask that you'll be with the show, be with our guests as they travel back home. We ask this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Donna, you want to lead the pledge?
I will.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Dawn and Tim, the floor is yours. What would you like us to know about Trinity Circle?
Everything.
And tell us everything. We're more than happy to listen.
I am the founder, and I'm also PATH certified, which is Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. I am an equine specialist in mental health and learning, and then I also have the PTSD training for services for heroes, equine services for heroes. So I'm dual certified.
Wow.
Just a little bit about us so they kind of know. I started doing this in 2012 after in 2007 I witnessed my husband's suicide. We won't get into those details, but he put a .308 rifle, and I learned PTSD very quickly. After the first year of going downhill, my life spiraling completely out of control, I had a very prominent graphics business that I actually closed and just walked away from because I could no longer run my business that had been running for almost 20 years. And my very first experience, I've always loved horses, but could never have them for one reason or another. And my very first experience with training and being up close to horses, other than, pony rides or whatever, was with my 5-year-old untouched wild Mustang. And because I don't ever do anything the easy way, that was my very first horse, was a 5-year-old completely untouched wild Mustang straight out of Nevada wild. My second one was a 2-year-old and my third one was a 3-year-old. And I learned to train all 3 Mustangs from the ground up.
Wow.
And Katana, which is my heart and soul, which is my first one, my 5-year-old. I'm not sure if I trained him or he trained me, but at the point where I got Katana, I was not sleeping. I was going 6 to 7 days without sleep because I could not deal with the nightmares, the flashbacks, the whole realm of PTSD. And I learned in that first month that I was starting to rest. I don't want to say I was sleeping, but I was resting where I could not rest before. If I laid down, the visions that were in my head were just too much. And in that first month, I noticed, hey, I'm starting to feel almost human again because I'm actually able to spend some downtime. And it took me a couple of years of working with the horses for me to fully comprehend what had happened. And now what I can tell you about the horses, outside of that's the best thing you will ever do for PTSD, is they allow you to get out of your head. When you're working with 1,000-pound animal that's right here, especially a wild one, you have to be very much in the moment, in the now, and right here paying attention, because if you don't, it's not when you're going to get hurt or if, it's just a matter of when and how bad. And it's going to happen. So you have to be right here. And when you're right here, all of the things that are in your head, what I'm worried about, what you're thinking or he's thinking, or friends or family, or what's happened through the week or through the day, I don't have time to worry about those things. I have to pay attention to this 1,000 pounds of uh-oh if I'm not. And let me tell you, I can't tell you the times I got stepped on, knocked down a couple of times because my brain would wander off, and I'm like, whoops, splat. So you have to pay attention right here. And when I was learning, there's a wonderful man named Chad Kelly over in Monette. Him and his girlfriend, Sherry Davidson, were my saving grace that God sent to me. They allowed me to learn at their home. Chad is one of the best Mustang handlers in the U.S., and I watched him do some phenomenal things that I just went, how in the world do you do that? And I sat on a fence for the first month, and I did nothing but sit on that fence and just soak up everything that I could. And what's really cool with the horses is, with the PTSD, I couldn't remember my own name, or people that I've known for years. I could walk up and I could tell you about them, but I couldn't tell you their name. But the horses was such a passion with me that I didn't lose anything. Everything just absorbed and it stayed. And I finally realized that I could do this, because with the PTSD, one of the biggest problems that you have is memory and forgetting everything. And it makes you feel very worthless because you can't remember your own name, much less what you're supposed to be doing. I was writing Post-it notes and putting them on my mirror in my Durango when I would go into town so I could remember what I went to do. And those things make you feel very incompetent. And working with the horses, when you can remember from day to day or week to week what you've done, it is so refreshing to your soul that you're not completely lost. There is something in there still functioning. And it may not happen on the first day, but it will happen. And it is incredible to watch the veterans go through what I went through, because now I can help them through this, where I was just learning it on my own. Chad was teaching me to train, but I was learning what the horses do. And when you watch the veterans, we've got one, his name is William, and he's on our YouTube also on a couple of videos that we did. He was on 11 medicines when he came to us, and in a year he was down to 1. And that was strictly an anxiety medicine. He could not ride in a car. He could not interact with his kids on their school events. He couldn't go to their football games or the marching. One was in the band. And he couldn't ride in a vehicle with someone else driving because he would have such anxiety attacks. And all of that has subsided.
Wow.
And when he feels himself really trying to get back into that, I'm going to have panic attacks on a regular basis, he'll call me and say, hey, I need some Faith time, which is my horse that I had him working with. Her name is Faith. She's a big, beautiful quarter horse. And he'll come down and he'll spend a day with her and just doing work with her. And you can see the instant change in him from when he comes in to when he leaves. And it is an incredible thing to watch that healing process come through. And I'm actually diagnosed with complex PTSD. And having gone through all of that, having spent the years and years and years with the horses, because I've been doing this since 2008, I can't relate to what they went through in battle, but I can understand their symptoms and I can help them work with them. And it is something that it's not so much me as me just helping them with the horses and the horses doing their therapy. Those of us that have PTSD, we know how we got it. When we don't necessarily want to talk about all of it, when we do want to talk, we'll talk. But we don't want to sit there and have somebody on the other side of the desk saying, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, and you're not doing this and you're not doing that. Excuse me. We know how we got it. What we need to know is how to cope, how to get rid of it. And PTSD doesn't go away, I don't think, ever. But you do learn how to cope with. You do learn the triggers. You do learn the different things that you can and can't cope with. And the horses teach you to recognize what's going on with you so that you can take that out into the world and go, okay, this is good. I can feel it coming. And you can literally just say to someone, you have to excuse me for just a minute. Or you can stand there and breathe through the moment and be able to cope without having someone say, hey, you need to knock it off, or you need to go sit down, because that only makes you feel worse. And people will say, you just need to get over it. Well, that's the worst thing you can say, because it's not a choice thing. And so when we work with the veterans or anyone with trauma, the horses do 99% of the work. I'm just there, or Tim, or in my other staff. We're just there to help you work with the horse mostly. If you want to talk, by all means, we listen. But the horse is the one that does the therapy. It's not like traditional, you're going to sit there and have a talk with a therapist, which makes me personally a little more mental than anything, trying to explain to people things they don't understand. Because unless you've been through something similar, you don't understand. You don't understand what's going on in your head. I can remember things that were in my head and me thinking, if I said that out loud, they would put me in a padded room. And so I didn't say a lot of things to a lot of people, because you can't explain what's going on in your head or why it's going on. And with mine being as severe as it was, not only was I having the nightmares and the flashbacks and the triggers, but I was having hallucinations. And people don't understand. I know that it's a hallucination. I see it. I know it's real or not real. It's real to me. But if I tell somebody I'm hallucinating, they want to dope you up and put you in a padded room. So the horses help you recognize what's setting you off and how to control it, because everything you do with a horse, they will mirror back to you. So if you come into the round pen and you say, hey, Donna, I'm having a great day. And the horse looks at you and goes, no, try again. Yeah. And you're like, but horse, I'm fine, really. And the horse says, no really, you're you have a whole lot of anger in there and I feel it, and you're not getting near me. So until you can bring yourself down, your horse isn't going to play with you and isn't going to cooperate. Yesterday, you may have had a beautiful day, but today the horse is going, back up. Back up, back up. You're going to round pen. I'm not round penning. You're going to round pen. And so it's great to watch. And the people will, I don't sit there and say, hey, you need to settle down or you need to breathe. I don't lecture them. I let them work through it and say, maybe you're a little tense. And they'll look at me and go, no, I'm fine. Well, let's take some deep breaths, because the horse is nervous. And we'll lay it off on the horse and let them think that it's the horse and we're trying to calm the horse. And then they realize as they're breathing through it, and I'll tell them, take a deep breath and blow kisses to the horse and get them, and then I'll make them laugh. I'm going to blow kisses to the horse. Yep. And they're like, okay. And they laugh, and that lightens it. And you get them to do all kinds of different little silly things so that they will relax. And you can watch them as they relax. The horse's head will drop and and you hear the big snorts and the big, big relaxing breaths. And they're like, oh, they relaxed. And they're like, If you relax, they relax. And they're like, wow. And when they actually see that, it's just the light bulb comes on and the whole world opens up. And then I teach them, as you go out into the world, if you're trying to have a conversation with someone and you're being really aggressive, or you're being very shy and you're standoffish and you really don't want to interact with them, you're my horse. So how is my horse acting? Is my horse backing away from me because I'm being real aggressive? Or is my horse being aggressive back at me? Or is my horse going, oh yeah, I really don't want to have this conversation either. You can just leave. Then I got to bring my energy up or my energy down. And so the horse teaches them how to cope with their symptoms. And it is a great, great thing. And as you're realizing when you're working with the horses that your own actions do affect everything that's going on in that session, they can take it out into the world. And my mom will tell you about a story where was teaching her it. My mom and dad are both RNs, and so they see all kinds of things they don't need to see on a daily basis. But she was really angry at our insurance company because they had made a huge mistake. And she went in to talk to them, and she said she went in real angry, and she was like, breathe, do not go in angry, let it relax. And she went in and dealt with the insurance agent, and everything was good. And she told the insurance agent what she did using the breathing and relaxing and coming in as this was her horse, and don't come in angry with your horse. And the insurance agent was like, really? And we actually wound up with her granddaughter for a while for a client, and helped her granddaughter. So it works with a lot of different things. Right now, we've actually got a couple of, one's a volunteer and one's a client. Actually, we've got 2 new clients that have actually been in sex trafficking. And it is really, really awesome to watch them, especially as youth when they come in and they're very, I'm depressed and I don't want to talk and I don't want to be around people, which you can't blame them. Mm-hmm. And we get them up with the horses and they're riding, and I explained to them, you'd think you can't control life, but you're controlling 1,000-pound animal. And when they think about what they're actually doing and what they have accomplished, and, I'll tell them, 2 days ago, you couldn't do this, and now look what you're doing. So you can do anything you set your mind to. You just have to set your mind to it. And we work through a lot of those scenarios with different, just different interactions. This is, how do you relate this to life? And God, I know, gives me a whole lot of what pops into my head, because I don't know where it comes sometimes. I'm like, that's got to be God talking, because I don't know where that just came from. But we give them just different little clues. This is how it interacts with your life. So if you come up on this situation, just think about this point right here. One of my little girls she had a problem with being, what do I want to say? Mishandled in school. And she has a lot of fear. And the first time she got on one of our horses, because she had a little bit of riding experience before, the horse just walked off because she let it, just walked off and stood in a corner. Well, it made her panic. The horse wasn't doing anything. It was just standing there. But she was like, and I said, take a deep breath. And I said, now turn her head and bring her back around here. And she did. And I said, there you go. And she just looks at me and she goes, I did it. I said, And I said, so we went through our whole class. And at the end of the session, I said, what did you learn today? And she said, I learned to do this and this and this and this. And I said, but what was the most important thing you learned today? And she says, I don't know. I said, you got scared. You took a deep breath. You thought through it and you handled it. And I said, you were able to walk right out of that fear and into confidence and not go on the rest of the session having a panic attack. And she goes, oh, wow. And her mom's like, see? And I said, you can do anything you want to. You just have to set your mind to it. You've got to try. So you don't have to be perfect, but you have to try. And she comes religiously every Friday night. And it doesn't matter if it's 12 degrees outside. That little girl wants to be on a horse, with the horse, doing something. She doesn't care. She'll be out there and she's just, her whole body is shaking. And I'm like, okay, it's time to call it. And she's like, no, I'm not done. I'm like, yes, you are.
It's cold.
You're going to have pneumonia just to ride the horse. We'll do more next week. And so you can watch all of those things just literally happen right before your eyes every session. And it's not just the youth, it's the veterans, it's adults. We've got a couple that come out in wheelchairs that actually walk the horses. One of our girls, Tim, actually was able to pick her up and just set her right up on the horse. She's paralyzed from the hips down, and she had been on the horse for the first time in 21 years, and she was just all smiles. And we've got another kid that had never been around horses, and he gets out there and he's just all smiles. And when they don't think they can do anything or new things, and they can get out there with 1,000 pounds and interact, it's just an instant change in your attitude and your perception of life. It's tremendous to watch. Anything? I can rattle about this
That's-
all day.
That's fantastic.
She's a talker. I'm not.
You mentioned riding. Do
Mhm.
you have the clients that they start from the ground up and grooming and
They do. We teach every client how to groom, clean feet, tack their horses. We ride bareback and in saddle. I am a very adamant person about if you can't handle the horse on the ground, you should not be on their back. And so we teach them literally from the ground up. Every session will start with grooming, cleaning feet, and then we have them walk. And then once they get control of the horse on the ground, we've actually got an obstacle course that they walk through to add some confidence and communication and trust with them and the horse. And especially their self-confidence. It is just huge that they have that confidence, and the more they can do with the horse, the more that confidence grows every time. But every session will start with grooming and then walking. We do walk, start, stop, change directions, figure eights, back up on the ground, and then they'll ride, and we teach them that all on the horse's back, whether it be bareback or in the saddle. Some of the people don't ride bareback because they just don't have the balance, but I do try and teach everyone a little bit bareback or on a bareback pad, because that does help with your core strength and your actual balance. Instead of relying on the stirrups and the saddle and a saddle horn, they can actually learn true balance. And we have sidewalkers that walk with them so that they don't fall. And should they lose balance, we got someone to catch them. But knock on wood somewhere, we've never had anyone fall off. We'd like to keep it that way. But we do various things. We've got, again, with the obstacle course, they can walk through it. And part of it, once they're good with their riding, they can actually go out and ride through the poles and over the little railroad ties, and nothing major, but they're just a little bit of confidence building. And this new property that we have, we're actually have cut trails through some woods. We've got 40 acres, and we cut trails through the woods so that hopefully this spring we'll get to do some trail riding with some of our more advanced clients and let them actually move up on their level, so that when they leave, because most of them want horses or want to be able to go out and trail ride when they're done with us. Excuse my cold. But we're trying to constantly expand what we can offer to them, and their communication and their trust and everything that they're learning with those horses. And it's just, like I said, it's tremendous. I cannot tell you how many times tremendous it is to watch them just heal. And the sessions, sometimes when I very first started this, the little girl that I actually went, all right, God, because I kept feeling God pushing me to this. And I kept going, I can't take care of me, and you want me to what? You've lost both of our minds. I can't do this. I can't take care of me. And I finally went, all right, you better give me the words, because I have no idea how to help other people. And 10 plus years, here we are later.
Amen.
But the first little girl, the condensed version, when she came out, she was terrified of the horses. She was standing against my barn, just in the corner between my fence and my barn, just hiding. And she had a cat face painted on her face because she didn't want to be a human. Her family life was so awful that she didn't even want to be human. And I went over and I was talking to her, and she was whispering. And I said, why are you whispering? She's, because they can hear me. I said, honey, they can hear your whispers as loud as you would be talking. And she goes, oh, okay. Anyway, long story short, I got her into the around pen with one of my smaller Mustangs, and he's just beautiful. He's got this long wavy hair, and he is great. His name is Zeus, and we still have him. And I told her, I said, can you just come pet him? And she come over with her fingers like this, and she's like, and I took my hand and straightened her fingers out, and I said, pet. She's like, he's soft. And I said, mm-hmm. And I said, why are you so afraid of him? And she said, because they bite. And I said, he won't bite you. And I went in over and put my fingers in his mouth. He's like, that, 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 that. She goes, oh, he didn't bite you. And I said, no. And I said, she goes, but they kick. And I said, not this one. And I walked around behind him, and I scratched down his back legs, and I got his tail, and I wiggled it standing right behind him. She's like, oh, he didn't kick. And I said, nope. He loves people. And then I got down, because he's little, I got down on my knees, and I crawled underneath him and put my back up against his belly. And she's like, oh, look at that. I said, I told you, he's very nice. I will not get you hurt. I promise. I said, not on purpose. And 45 minutes of this, I finally get her up on the fence and got her to start to step over on him. And I said, she got really scared. And I put my hand out and I said, do you trust me? She says, yes. And I said, you can do anything you set your mind to. You just have to try. She gave me her hand and I slid her over on him. And when she did, she was wearing a big leather band. And when it moved, I could see the fresh cuts on her wrist. And I knew she had just gotten out of the psych ward, but these were fresh. I mean, very fresh. Like she did it between the psych ward and my house. And when she got ready to leave, I told my friend that brought her out, I said, you need to keep an eye on her. She's got fresh cuts. She said, no, those are the old ones. And I said, no, these still have blood on them. These are fresh cuts. And she told me that the parents were alcoholics and drug addicts, and it was a very violent home life. And that was why she was bringing her out there and why the girl was suicidal. And they're fine. I got her up on Zeus and she sat there and she was just trembling. And I said, you're okay. I said, he's not going to go anywhere. We're not going to do anything. And I said, look where you're at. And she goes, I'm on a horse.
Yeah.
I said, you are. And I said, and you're bareback on a horse. And she's like, oh, it's so cool. And I said, do you want to move? And no,
Yeah.
no. And that's a normal response. No, I'm up here. I'm not moving. I said, trust me, it'll be okay. Anyway, I talked to her for a few minutes and I got her to agree to take just a few steps. And we took a few steps. She was like, this is so cool. And I said, yep. So we went for a whole lap and a half around the round pen. And I said, are you good? And she goes, I did it. I did it. And I said, you did. And I said, all you had to do was set your mind to it. And she goes, you're right. I did it. And I said, yep. I said, now slide back. And I said, now lay over. And I said, drape your arms down around his neck and give him a hug. And so she slid back and she gave him a hug and she started crying, which made me cry. And I handed the rope to my friend and I said, give me a sec. I was like, I can't do that. I wasn't ready for that. And so I regained my composure. And then I said, are you good? And she's like, oh my God, I did it. I did it. And she's still crying happy tears. And I was like, see, it's all better. And I got her down and they went home. And about a month later, she made a post on Facebook. And when she had come out that day, her hair was as black as this microphone. She had black nails and black makeup and the black cat face. And she posted on Facebook, her hair was back in normal color. She had very natural makeup for a young girl her age. And she posted below it, one day, one person believed in me and told me I could do anything I wanted to do if I just tried. And I bawled. I was like, oh my God, for 45 minutes with this one young girl. And it made that much of a difference in her life. Hi, Jackie and Scooby. They came back to visit. This are friends. But it hit me, 45 minutes in one day. And it made such a change in this little girl's life that I've never seen a therapy make that much of a change that quick.
That's fantastic.
They actually have a survey out of the University of Columbia that says after 3 weeks of therapeutic writing, they went through and did surveys on veterans between Vietnam era and current, all the way through. And after 3 weeks of therapeutic writing, there was a 68% decrease in their PTSD symptoms. And after 6 weeks, there was an 86% decrease. And they show no therapy that shows those kind of figures that quick.
That's amazing.
No chemicals, no nothing, just therapy writing. So it is a tremendous thing. Hi, baby.
Sounds like it. Are most of your clients referred to you, or do they just hear about you and come contact you on their own?
A little bit of both.
Oh.
We try to make visits with all of the VFWs and the American Legions and the auxiliary and get the word out, go and do little presentations kind of like this with them so that the word is out there. We are very active with our local American Legion, and I'm a Legion auxiliary also. We do everything that we can to keep the word going out there. but sometimes it's hard. There's not enough of us to go around.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah. So it's, the word of mouth is great if everyone would spread the word. You've got the contact information. Our phone number is 417-455-1200. And we are just south of Neosho. We have a Goodman address, but we are not in Goodman. We're still in Newton County, and we're closer to Neosho. We're just south of Neosho by the airport. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Trinity Circle Horses Healing Hearts, or TC Trinity Circle HHH, on YouTube.
Okay.
And if you want to get involved, you can call us, email us. Are you going to put the email up?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Put it on the video.
You have it up?
Email? No, I don't have it.
It's Dawn, DAWN, at tchhh.org. You can email me, you can call us, you can message me off any of the social medias. You can find us on Google Maps. You can message me off there. There's all kinds of ways you can get a hold of us. We have a benefit tomorrow in Joplin. It's a fundraiser at Pizza Ranch on 20th. I don't have the exact address, but it's on our Facebook, and my personal one and the ranch one. They're doing a fundraiser for us tomorrow. So you can always come out there, and we will be there, and you can visit with any of us. All of our applications and stuff are online on our website,
Okay.
which is just tchhh.org. And they can go under the info tab, and it'll say client forms and veterans forms. Our veterans forms, the main difference in it is we do have a no harm agreement, because our big focus is suicide prevention. We want those numbers to come way down. And I'm living, breathing, walking, talking proof it works. We've got several veterans that will tell you that. We had one couple, I guess 3 or 4 years ago, that called me, and he was just frantic. And I said, whatever you're doing, just come on out. Stop what you're doing and come out. And it was the middle of the afternoon, and he came out, and he's in tears, and he was talking with me and William, the other one I was talking about earlier that's off all the meds. And he looked at me and he said, if it wasn't for you, I'd have just put a gun in my mouth. And I said, don't ever do that. You are never alone, 24/7. We are always here.
What is your website again?
tchhh.org. And it has all of our contact information on there, my personal one, and anything to do with the ranch. But he literally looked at me and said, I would have just put a gun in my mouth. And I was all I could do to maintain my composure. And he just had a really bad day. And I said, well, let's go get some horse loves. And I've got a lot of my horses. A lot of people train their horses to stay out of your face. Mine, we do the opposite. We want them in your face. They come up and they nuzzle and they'll kiss, and they'll come up from behind you and lay their head around and hug you. I've got one, his name is Cherokee, but I call him Huggy Horse because his favorite game is to come up from behind you, and he'll actually wrap his head right around you and he just cuddles you. And we've got one, her name's Cheyenne. We call her Licky Horse because she will wash your entire face, your hair, your hands, your clothes. She doesn't care. She just kisses. She's like the dogs. She kisses. And then we have Hope and Faith and Keela, which is an Elven word for love because I call them all love. So I had to find another word. So we have Hope, Faith, and Love. We've got drafts. We've got minis. My littlest mini is not, I think he can walk under the edge of this table. And then we've got 3 big black percherons that their heads would hit the ceiling. They're just massive. And we've got everything in between. We've got quarter horses. Our primary horses are Mustangs because that's my passion. That's what saved me. So we saved them. But we've got some walkers, Tennessee walkers, and quarter horses, Mustangs, percherons, and the minis. We've got like 5 minis, and we work with everyone from about 3 years to however old they want. I think the oldest one we've had on a horse was 86.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah, and the youngest has been 3.
so you said you have an application. So if somebody knows somebody who needs to get or would like to have a friend or loved one come see you or
The
get
paperwork
therapy?
it's really
Is that
not
the first step then? Is
Yes.
to get online and get the paperwork?
fill that out and then call me. And what we do on the first appointment is we'll do what we call a meet and greet, because not everyone responds to horses. The majority of people do, but I've only had one, and she was autistic, very low functioning autism that I just didn't make progress with. But we always do a meet and greet because I want to see how they're going to react, so I know what I'm getting into, or what my staff is getting into, and what horse we might pair them with. Because if you got somebody that's really frantic, I don't want to put them with an 18 hand, 2,500 pound Percheron. We'll put her with an 800 pound, quarter horse that's much calmer. But it gives us a chance to kind of get a feel for them and for them to get a feel for us, and make sure everything's going to be copacetic and helpful and not harmful. And then we set appointments after that, and usually they come out weekly, and we go from there. Veteran services are free. We never charge a veteran for a service. And if we can, and they've got family that they need or would like to work with them in it, we try to include the family in the services also. That helps them reintegrate into that family circle. And so we do some individual sessions and we do combined sessions, trying to help everything, not just the veteran, because sometimes the family needs as much healing as the veteran does, or needs the understanding. So we try very hard to be family oriented and work with them all together.
Couple things. I know you had an open house recently. How often do you have them?
We do that once a year.
Once a year? Okay.
And they can come out and do free. We do pony rides, wagon rides, free food. Everything that day is free. I don't want anyone to come out and feel that they can't come because they can't afford it. I mean, even if it's $1, some people, that's
A lot.
you just don't have it. Yeah. So everything we do that day is free. And we do it once a year. We either do it in the spring or we do it in the fall, depending on the weather. Normally I try and do it in May, but the last couple of years, May has not been conducive. So we've done it in September, but it's always posted on our Facebook, and all of our Facebooks, we share it a lot.
If someone out there had a horse that they needed to get rid of, do you take donations of animals?
We're not currently, right now we're dying trying to feed the ones we've got. Our hay prices in 21, we spent $17,000 in hay. Last year we spent $35,000.
Oh my goodness.
And needless to say, our budget was not prepared for that. And right now we're paying $150 a bale where we were paying $60 a bale. So if somebody's got a horse that they need to rehome, we do try very diligently to put them in a good home that won't wind up in slaughter, because a lot of our horses are rescued from slaughter. I'm huge advocate against no slaughtering the horses. Thousands go every day into Mexico and Canada, but it is what it is. We can't stop it all, but we do try and help home them into a safe forever home.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the money situation. I know you're having a fundraiser tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yes, in Joplin.
In Joplin. If somebody's listening today, well, man, I can't get to Joplin, but I'd sure like to donate for these people. You gave me a PayPal address, paypal.me/TCHHH. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they can
make a donation straight there, and they can do a one-time, or they can set up a reoccurring monthly, which we dearly appreciate, because there are 53 horses at the ranch, and all but 4 of them are used weekly for clients and different things. It depends on the horse. Obviously, my little bitty one, we don't ride, but we use him with little kids. They love to pet him and love on him. We've got 4 other minis. One of them rides really, really well, and we use him with a little bit of kids. And even one of our Percherons, well, all 3 of our Percherons ride, but I had the little bitty girl, I tell you, comes on Fridays. We put her up on one of the Percherons, and she looked like one of those dogs up on that perch. She looked like this little bitty thing, like a little infant up there on that Percheron, because she's not very big, but she got up there and rode. So we use all of our horses, even our ones that are in retirement. We bring them in for people that don't want to ride. We'll just let them walk them and groom them and take care of them. So those horses still get their interaction with their clients. So there are a lot of mouths out there to feed, but they all do their work.
So basically, we're just talking about room and board for the animals for the most part.
Right. As long as we can afford to feed the animals, which is the hay, the grain, the wormers, vet bills, because there's always vet bills. We can keep our veteran services free, and that's our primary goal. Our regular clients, some of them pay, some of them don't. We do have scholarships so that ones that can't afford the regular $75 fee or $120 fee, depending on whether we've got a counselor with them. We do have scholarships so that we can work with them to get it down to a more affordable fee, because we don't want anyone turned away ever.
Oh, absolutely.
That suicide rate is, and it's not just our veterans. I mean, that is our primary focus, but there's like 4,000 youth that are committing suicide every day. And that is a heartbreaking number to know that K through 5, we've got thousands of kids that are dying that young. I mean, that's just horrific.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, any life lost is horrific, but when you've got a kindergartner that's committing suicide, that's got to stop.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just got to stop. So we try not to turn anyone away. And I can't say that we won't ever, but we try not to. We try to make some kind of arrangements. And there's a lot of funding out there available for these services. So we try and point them in a right direction. And like I said, if we have to, we do the services for free, trying to keep people from not being turned away. Don't like the suicide rate. Obviously, it's very near and dear to my heart.
Okay, let's give that PayPal one more time. It's paypal.me/TCHHH. Please help this organization.
Was that me or knee?
Me, as in me.
M-E.
M-E,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry, I just want to make sure that I got
Yep.
that.
Help this organization and send them a little donation. I know every little bit will be appreciated very much.
Oh, yes.
Guys, thank you so much for coming. Kim, I got to say, you're really a chatty Cathy.
I try to keep him under control.
Donna, do you want to take us out with a song?
Sure. Let me get it up here. On this. These are our little rugrats you guys see running around. They were starting to bark and make noise, so I had to go get them.
And they are precious.
I was alone before love came, in the shadows, in the rain. I was lost and I could not find my way. Life's pain was all I could see. It was love that rescued me. Now I'm safe in the power of love. The power of love can take me high, lift me up so I can fly. Like an eagle riding on the wind, love will raise me up again. Like a sparrow lost in flight, no peace and rest in sight. I know I can make it on my own, and you don't have to. Love's pain was all I could see. It was love that rescued me. that unsafe in the power of love. The power of love can take you high, lift you up so you can fly like an eagle riding on the wind. Love will raise me up again. The power of God's love can take you high, lift you up so you can fly like an eagle riding on the wind. Love will raise you up again like an eagle riding on the wind. Y'all, you're not alone. God's love is there, and there's people who want to help you. And Dawn and Tim are just an example of that. There's ways that we can help. Let's just help each other out and check on your buddy.
Yes, ma'am.
Don and Tim, thank you so very much for coming. I hope we can do this again
Yes, sir.
sometime
Thank you
down
very
the
much.
road.
Thank you for having
And
us.
one last thing, reach out and buy Donna's music. It's beautiful. All of it that I've heard is absolutely beautiful.
Thank
That
you.
was a great way to end it.